What's up, everybody? It's Friday, so come back out on the back deck. Excuse me. We're trying to get everything cleaned up. We're going to have a little cookout and stuff tomorrow for my team, some of my guys, and bought some awesome brisket and ribeyes and all that good stuff, so we're going to have a good cookout. But I wanted to take a moment to record a video about another topic that I keep hearing, and that video that I want to record today is I'm going to touch on some pretty sensitive stuff to me, and the stuff that's happened in my life. And maybe I shouldn't go so personal with it, but I feel like it's necessary to get the point across. Today I want to talk about failure, because I get asked all the time about failing. Well, what if I fail? With what if I start this business and I don't succeed? What if I don't make it? And my answer is always the same. You know how to live broke, right? I mean, the bulk of the people that's going to watch this video, we know how to live broke. I mean, none of us are billionaires or, centimillionaires, I guess is the word, or decamillionaires or whatever. But I don't know why everybody is so afraid of failure when it comes to running their own business, yet they'll happily go down a path that will absolutely lead to failure. For example, Meatloaf, I love Meatloaf, the artist Meatloaf. Well, I like the food Meatloaf too, ironically. But the artist Meatloaf, he has a song, and some of the lyrics are, you'll never drill for oil on a city street. Anyway, essentially what he's saying is, you'll never find a Coupe de Ville at the bottom of a Cracker Jack box. What he's saying is that you can go fishing all day in a mud puddle, and you're not going to catch any fish, right? I mean, it's just not going to happen. So my point is, if you are working for $20 an hour or $25 an hour or $30 an hour or $35 an hour, and you want to become comfortable in retirement with millions of dollars in the bank, do the math. I mean, $30 an hour times 2080 for a 40-hour week is $60,000 a year. After you pay taxes, you're going to bring home, you're going to net 48. Let's say 48,000. Do that for a 30-year career. It's $1.4 million. How are you going to retire with millions in the bank if you only made $1.4 million and you had to use that money to live on and raise your family and all that stuff during that time? I mean, I know you're going to hear Dave Ramsey and all these people talk about, well, if you invest 20% of your income into the mutual funds at 12% annual average, and come on, guys. First off, nobody's getting 12% annual average year after year after year after year after year. It's not happening. You'll have those years. I do a lot in the stock market. Okay, I have money in there. I'm not going to lie. But the stock market is not, hear what I'm about to say, the stock market is not for building wealth. The stock market is a place for the rich people and the wealthy people to park their money to earn passive income off of money they already have. Let me repeat that. The stock market is not a place to build wealth. I don't care what you do. You're not going to put $300 a month into stocks and into mutual funds and retire a decamillionaire or a centimillionaire. It's not going to happen. So let that go. Okay. So the reason I'm telling you this is because I see so many people who are more than willing to give their entire life's earnings and entire life's career up because they're terrified of failing on their own in their own business. Will your business fail? Maybe. Will your business succeed? Maybe. Depends on how hard you want to work. But can a successful business make you millions in a year? Absolutely. Can your salary ever earn you millions in a year? Not a chance. So the failure side is what I want to talk about. So with that being said, I'm going to go out there and do something that most people won't do. And it's because I don't charge for this information. It's not like I'm trying to get you to buy a product from me. So I'm going to tell you that I have failed a bunch. I failed in an automation business. I had a great automation company that failed, went bankrupt. 2008, bankrupt, lost everything. Lost rental properties, lost my company. Had to let people go. Had the worst thing in my life, having to lay somebody off. I'll tell that story later. I've told it before. I've laid off one person in my life. That will never, ever, 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 ever happen again. Ever. I will never lay off another person from Appalachian Automation. The reason why is if I have to lay you off, then I have failed doing my job. They didn't fail doing their job. Now, I fired people, for not performing, but I will never lay off another person. The reason why is it's not their fault that we're failing. So if we fail together. When they walk out the door jobless, it's because I am also walking out that door jobless, period. I'll never do it again. The hit that it took to me personally by laying off somebody I really cared about, it burnt that bridge for me. So Appalachian Automation will never be huge because I don't want to go through that. But anyway, my point is, failures and responsibilities is what makes an entrepreneur. You will fail at some things. You're going to fail. You're going to launch a product that doesn't work. You're going to launch a product that you thought would have X amount of sales and it doesn't. You're going to have a business partnership that looks like it's going to be a great thing that's going to go sour. It's going to happen, guys. Plan for it. It's coming. It's going to happen. But you don't fail if you don't quit. Now, let me touch on the other thing. Responsibility. What I see in the world today, in business and all the young people, is people who are terrified to take responsibility, scared to death. All they see is the Instagram fake-ass lifestyle of people who have everything perfect and never make a mistake and never, everything, their makeup's always perfect. Their entire life is perfect. And I see so many young people who are terrified of taking responsibility. If you do something wrong, tell your client, man, I missed it. Today, this morning, I had to call a client on a system that I am quoting for them and tell them that I was given the wrong quote on a piece of conveyor. I was quoted roughly $10,000 for a small piece of conveyor. I needed 2 of them, right? Now, the company that quoted this conveyor I haven't dealt with before. So I asked them when they quoted to me yesterday, they gave me a verbal quote on the phone. I told them I needed something budgetary. And they said, this is your quote. And I said, is that for both conveyors? And they said, yeah, that's for both conveyors. You're good to go. I said, all right, I'll give it to the client. I called my client, put the number out there. I get a phone call this morning that says, I'm really sorry, but that was for one conveyor. So it's about a $10,000 issue, right? Now, this is a small system, so it was a substantial upgrade or a substantial cost increase on the system. But I called my client and I said, look, guys, drop the ball on this one. I understand if it's a problem. If we lose this contract, I understand, but I've got to tell you that, my guys that quoted to me, when I got the formal quote this morning on paper, it was double what it should have been. I should have waited to get the formal quote, but I wanted to get you a budgetary number, and I messed up on this one. It's something that I did. Take that responsibility. So, and I'll tell you where I learned, and this is where the personal stuff comes in, but I feel like you need to understand where I'm coming from and why I believe in it. When I learned responsibility, and I swore that I would never dodge responsibility again after I lost a child. My daughter passed away in 1999. I was a junior in high school, headed in my senior year, and had a high school sweetheart, and ended up having a baby on the way. And we hid it. We hid it from my parents. We hid it from her parents, and I was terrified, man. She was terrified, and and I was just a kid. I mean. But on December 23rd, I turned 18. December 24th, Christmas Eve, my daughter passed away during birth. And I had to bury my daughter right after Christmas. So Christmas Eve has been destroyed for me. Christmas has been terrible for me ever since, right? But what I learned after that, for a long time, I was mad at everybody. I was blaming everybody. I was mad at God. I was mad at my parents because they were so strict on me that I couldn't talk to them about something. It was just a bad situation. What I learned later in life was that was my fault. It was my fault. Why it was my fault? Because had I been a man and took responsibility for my actions, then I would have immediately went to my parents and went to her parents and told them what the situation was, and we would have had her in prenatal care. We would have been getting her the proper medical attention, and she wouldn't have went 6.5, 7 months before anybody even knew she was pregnant. And today, my daughter possibly would be here today, right? So I've lived with that for years, but I swore after that I would never, ever sidestep my responsibilities again. So what I'm telling you, and the reason why I'm bringing this up in business is, you have to take responsibilities for your successes and your failures. If you fail, you can't say, well, it's just the economy. The economy was so bad. Bull. It's bull. That's what I tried to do in 2008. The economy is just terrible. I just can't make it in this economy. Nope, that wasn't what happened. You know what happened? I got so lazy with my 3 or 4 clients that I had that were throwing millions of dollars at us a year that I didn't try to prospect or anything. For 2 or 3 years, I did no prospecting. I only did the jobs that were coming in from our 2 or 3 core clients, and it destroyed me. That won't happen now. That won't happen again. You know why? Because now I take responsibility for making sure that my company is financially stable. I'm always networking. I'm always talking to people. We're not actively looking for new clients. Like I said, we're a small company, and we've got a core set of clients that does a lot of business with us. But you can bet that I'm out there talking to people all the time. Every day, I'm doing videos like this. I don't know that this will ever generate $1 of revenue for me, but what it does do is hopefully it trains some younger people to know that one day when they need automation because they finally got their company up to a size that they're going to be making widgets, hey, I'm going to call James. I mean, at this point, you've spent, hours and hours and hours listening to me babble, and maybe we can do some business together, right? You're going to know me a little bit personally because you know what I say through my videos. You're going to learn my life story a little bit. So, I enjoy doing it. I like talking to a screen that's, just whatever. But what I'm getting at is if you are in business for yourself, then you have to stop worrying about failure, because I see so many people who are like, well, if I fail, I'm done. Why would you be done? If you failed and you learn from that failure, you're not going to make that mistake again. Andrew Carnegie, he said in his book, which, by the way, his I don't know who wrote the autobiography or the biography. I guess it would be him that wrote it. But my point is, I don't know who does the audio book, but it's great on Audible if you listen to it. But he had a mill foreman at one of his steel mills that cost him $1 million, and this is 1900s, early 1900s money. So $1 million is tremendous amount of money. I don't know, 100 million, a lot of money, right? So he cost him $1 million, and he goes in to give his resignation to Andrew Carnegie, and he says, I owe you, an explanation. He said, I'm really sorry. I know that you're going to let me go. And Mr. Carnegie's response to him was, why would I let you go? I just spent $1 million educating you on what not to do next time. So my thing when I'm talking to you guys is, why would you quit? Why would you give up after one failure when you learn from that failure? So if you're out here and you start a cupcake business, and you go back to the previous video I just did about understanding your numbers. Let's say you totally screwed up your numbers. You didn't even know to do that. You hadn't seen that video before. Nobody talked to you about that. So you totally screwed up on your numbers. You start a cupcake business up, and you rent a 20,000 square foot building when you didn't need it, and you realize that you've got to sell 10 million cupcakes a year for you to break even. That's going to fail. It's done. You're done. You're failing. But why would you go work somewhere else? Now, I understand a temporary job to get you through the failure, but if you are really wanting to become something, every time you take a job for somebody should be nothing more than a temporary stop to get you back into business for yourself, to get some working capital up, to keep the wolves at bay while you get your working capital up so that you can try again, right? So if you fail once and you go back, you are giving yourself no chance at success long-term in life, right? The other thing that I want you to understand is your primary goal when you become employed by someone, in my opinion, your primary goal when you become employed by someone should be to have employment while you work on building your own thing. Everybody's end goal should be to be self-employed or a company owner or an entrepreneur. Now, I'm not saying it's for everybody. If it was for everybody, I couldn't hire anybody, right? I love my guys. I love the people that work with me. And I'm very, very proud and have them. And they're going to watch this video and see it. I give them the same information. Ask any one of my guys right now if I haven't had the same talk with them. And like, for example, Mikey, my lead electrician, I talk with him every day about what he should do on his own. Like, take your money and do this. Is he going to leave me one day? Probably. He's probably going to do his own thing. But you know what? It's my responsibility as a mentor to him to make sure that while I pay him well, I want to see him succeed beyond what he can do with me. I don't know that he's ever going to become an owner of Appalachian Automation. He may one day at some point, want to look at being on the ownership side of the company. I don't know. But my point is, I want him to succeed. So I mentor him daily. We talked about finances this morning. We talked about capital usage. We talked about interest rates and how to use other people's money. And, I talk about this kind of stuff to him all the time, and it's stuff he's never been taught before. So what I'm wanting to get out there to you is when you strike out Inevitably, you will. Everybody does. I've been in real estate and struck out. I've had bad real estate deals. There's things that happen. I mean, it looks good on paper, and you miss. At least you took your shot, right? At least you tried to succeed. So, just in this little chat today, I just wanted to talk for a few minutes about that. Get that mentality out of your head. You are not a loser because you failed. Being a loser and failing are two totally separate things. You are a loser when you throw your hands up and say, yeah, I'll go back and work for JCPenney or something as a clerk, and I won't try to design that next clothing line that I wanted to do because my last clothing line, nobody picked it up. Or, I won't, my Amazon store failed because I couldn't compete with people, so I won't try to sell anything ever again. I'm just going to go, do whatever. So, that's the gist of the video. I appreciate you guys listening. I'm going to get ready and start grilling and all that good stuff. And, I am going to talk about probably Sunday. I'm trying to do these videos every other day. So probably Sunday, I'm going to talk about, how to compete on pricing. I keep getting asked about that, when to raise your prices, when to cut your prices, what to look out for when, to keep you from being used by a client. So we're going to discuss some of that stuff on Sunday. But anyway, have a great weekend. I hope y'all have a wonderful Saturday. Not a too crazy Friday night. Anyway, we'll see you Sunday and we'll go from there. But yeah, everybody have a good weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.